Hey, what's up, Bills Mafia? Welcome to episode 15 of Bills with BK. Unfortunately, this will be the last episode of the season. The Bills were knocked out in the divisional round by the Chiefs. I want to start off by thanking everybody who's been with me since episode 1. I appreciate you guys. I know that I'm doing this episode a little later than usual, but honestly, after that loss, I just felt like as a fan base, we just needed time to reflect on the game, not let our emotions run away with us, because my first instinctual blame after this game was Tyler Bass missing that field goal. That was what was going through my head right when the game ended. How can Bass miss a 44-yard field goal? And wide right, of all things. Seems like it's straight out of a bad movie, honestly. And that was my initial reaction to the game. And I'm glad that I didn't just come right on the next day blaming Bass for missing that field goal, because the more I thought about it, the more I realized we needed a touchdown on that last drive. A field goal was not going to do it. Sure, we get the field goal there, we tie it up, and then the Chiefs have a minute and 48 seconds with a couple timeouts left. I mean, we've seen what Patrick Mahomes can do with 13 seconds. A minute and 48. I have no doubt in my mind that he could easily drive down the field and at the very least kick a field goal and then win the game. So I can't really put the loss on Bass. Also, 44 yards in the wind is not so much of a gimme. I think at first I was just stuck with that number. I'm thinking 44 yards. How do you miss a 44-yard field goal? I know it's not the shortest field goal, but it's also not the longest. And, guys like Jake Elliott and Tucker, these guys, they make that field goal for sure. But there are a lot of kickers that would have also missed that field goal with the wind and the situation. But at the end of the day, we needed a touchdown on that drive. And I think we can all agree with that. So I'm glad that I took a little more time to reflect on the game and watch some replays. And that's when I kind of started to realize, and I don't want to play the blame game here because we know how it is. When you lose a game, there are a bunch of people on that team that will sit there and think about, well, if I had done this, we would have won the game. Or if I had done this, we would have won the game. There's plenty of people who can put that kind of blame on themselves and say if they did something differently, they could have won. I think in sports, it's natural that, we always do that. So it's always going to be a combination of a lot of things. It's never going to be just one person to blame. And that's why I don't think that it's right for us to really point the blame at any one person specifically. That being said, if there is one person that I'm a little disappointed with after this game, and I don't put the loss on him, because again, we lost as a team. There's a million things that can always go a different way to make you win a game. But if I were to say who I'm disappointed in, it's got to be Stefon Diggs. And simply because when you're a wide receiver 1 like that, and you're Stefon Diggs, with all the drama in the offseason, complaining about wanting to get more targets, you have to catch that ball, okay? Like, it hit him in the hands. 64-yard bomb from Josh Allen. It was a perfect throw, perfect spiral. I mean, in the winds, that would have gone down as one of the greatest catches of the playoffs had he had brought that in. And the defender was falling as he was going up for the ball, so he probably scores a touchdown on that catch. And then just imagine Highmark Stadium erupting after an 80-yard touchdown from Stefon Diggs. I know that Patrick Mahomes was going to have another 8 minutes left, even if he did score a touchdown there. And I know that's a lot of time, and I was just talking about how Patrick Mahomes in 13 seconds can do things, let alone 8 minutes, right? But I just think that if you're that defense, right, after Stefon Diggs answers with an 80-yard touchdown, okay, 64 yards thrown by Josh Allen. I mean, if you're on the defense going onto the field right after that happens, that momentum, I really do think that there's a good chance that our defense could have gone in there and shut down Patrick Mahomes simply off of the momentum and just the energy of the stadium. And also considering that the drive right before that, we had stopped Patrick Mahomes 6 times in a row. We had a 3-and-out, then we got a penalty, so it gave him the first down. And then we stopped Patrick Mahomes another 3 times. So our defense stopped Patrick Mahomes from getting a first down 6 plays in a row. Okay, that's pretty impressive. The defense was already playing pretty well. I think if then they go on the sideline and they watch Stefon Diggs deliver an 80-yard touchdown bomb from Josh Allen, I'm pretty sure that defense is going to be going in there amped out of their mind, ready to run through a brick wall. And then it all could have been different. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say Stefon Diggs lost us the game. It's never fair to put it on one person, but I am disappointed that he couldn't bring that in just because of he could have changed the narrative for Buffalo, And that was one of those moments where I think that if we score there and then we get a stop on Patrick Mahomes again, and then we come back on the field and then carry that momentum into maybe scoring another touchdown. I mean, it all could have gone differently if he had caught that pass. And that's the thing that's sticking with me, guys. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I've watched that replay over and over again of that ball going through Stefon Diggs' hands. And it was a very catchable ball. And you're Stefon Diggs. You're our wide receiver one. You're a beast. You're supposed to be the guy that's going to deliver those catches. I mean, I tell you, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, these other guys who are in the same class as Diggs, they're coming down with that ball. So I will admit I'm disappointed in Diggs for that drop. And the other thing is, I noticed going into this season, I follow Stefon Diggs on social media. And on his Instagram last season, not this one coming into the present season that just ended for us, but last season, I remember seeing a lot of Stefon Diggs posts being with him, these wide receiver training camps with all the other stud wide receivers. And I remember seeing that a lot on his Instagram. And I remember thinking to myself, like, damn, Diggs puts in that work. Like, he's grinding all summer, getting ready for the season. Like, good for him, And I noticed this last season, I didn't really see Diggs posting a lot about, being in these NFL wide receiver camps that he's normally in. I only saw Stefon Diggs post anything on social media regarding football at all when the season started and he was back at practice. And that was after all the drama blew over. And then, we brushed it under the rug and we said everything was cool and everybody was, was happy now. And I just feel like leading up to that point, granted, maybe Stefon Diggs just wasn't, posting on Instagram his football stuff as much then. I don't know. Who am I to say? But I will say that the guy was posting a lot of modeling posts. He's doing his fashion thing, posting the runway show stuff. So I don't know, man. It's hard for me to think that Stefon Diggs was as dialed in as he has been in previous years. When all summer leading up to the season, I just see him on his modeling, and doing the runway stuff. And then to have him drop off this season, the second half of the season like he did, you got to wonder if there is a correlation to that, if Diggs wasn't putting in the work the same way. But he also was a stud the first half of the season. So I don't know why he would have dropped off the second half, doing the same kind of preparation that he had always done in previous years. Obviously, that's speculation, but this is just my perception of the offseason, of Diggs complaining, not showing as much dedication to football in general. And then he has this huge drop-off in production the second half of the year. Again, I don't want to turn on Diggs here. I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, Diggs is the problem, get him out of Buffalo, because we got Diggs under contract for, a while. Like, he's our guy. He's one of the guys that we're paying a lot of money to this coming year. I think his salary cap is $28 million or something like that. So he's going to get paid a lot this year. And that's one of the problems going into this. This is the scary part about going into the next season, is that our cap space situation is kind of a nightmare. I mean, we owe Von Miller a bunch of money. We owe Stefon Diggs a bunch of money. We owe Josh Allen a lot of money, but, that's our stud, so I got no problem paying that guy. But I do have a problem paying Von Miller a bunch of money a season that he didn't have a single sack in. I think he had 3 tackles on the year. So it's going to get rough for us with the salary cap. I'm not going to lie. We're going to have to hit it big in the draft. We need to get another good wide receiver in the draft because I know that we are most likely losing Gabriel Davis in the offseason. He's going to want more money than we can afford to pay him. Otherwise, our offense looks pretty intact in terms of guys on our contracts. We pretty much have everybody coming back from last year on the offense, besides potentially Gabriel Davis, who I just don't think we'll be able to afford what he wants in the offseason, so I think we'll have to let him walk. Luckily, Shakir stepped in really nicely, so, to have Diggs, Shakir, Kincaid, that's still good talent right there. You hit big in the draft, you hit a wide receiver in one of the early rounds, and then suddenly Gabriel Davis's lack of presence isn't felt as much. That's really what it comes down to for us. I think we got to hit big in the draft coming up. I think we all feel like our season ended too soon, and we should still be continuing our season right now. And I think that's what hurts the most, is that it's not even like the Chiefs smashed us. It was a very close game. Back and forth, back and forth. They score, we score, they score, we score. It's not like we played a bad game. It's not like last year, I'll tell you that. It's not like after we lost the Bengals, when I was sitting in Hawaii day after my birthday and we got smashed by the Bengals. I mean, that was not fun. We didn't even show up that day, and that's what sparked all the Stefon Diggs drama because he wasn't happy with his production that game. And that's when all offseason, there was all the murmurs about Stefon Diggs trying to get out of Buffalo and not happy. And, then he drops that pass. So that narrative is not great, I'll tell you. But Stefon Diggs is still a stud. I have faith in him. I think he can bounce back. I want him to focus more on football this offseason, okay? Enough with the modeling shit. Be a football player. You want to go be a model, be on the runway, then go do that. But if you want to be a football player, then be a football player, On the defensive side of things, a lot of guys who are going on free agency. A.J. Epinesa, Leonard Floyd, all of our defensive tackles that's not named Ed Oliver. So thank God we locked that guy down. And then he had a breakout season, so that's good. But, of the defensive tackles, I think the most important person to re-sign is Daquan Jones. Let me know what you guys think, too. Drop a comment below. Let me know who you guys think are the most important people that we need to re-sign in the offseason. Also, A.J. Epinesa, obviously that guy, he started to have a breakout year. I would love to hang on to him. Most importantly, Leonard Floyd. Re-sign that guy to the same deal. I mean, hopefully he'll still play for the same $7 million that he did this year because he did have 10.5 sacks. So, he might start thinking he's a little more valuable and ask for a little more money, but if we can make it work with the cap situation, I say do it because that guy was, one of our anchors defensively. For me, it's the definite re-signs that we got to find a way to move money around. However we have to do it is A.J. Epinesa, Leonard Floyd, Daquan Jones. Micah Hyde might retire. We'll have to just see what happens with that. He also is a free agent. So we're just going to have to see how that shakes out. He may retire. He is coming off not his best season. He had that lingering neck injury all year. So he may end up just retiring, in which case then our main targets to me in the draft is going to be wide receiver and safety. That's going to be the two most important, and especially with us, not having a lot of money to re-signing guys. It's very important for us to have a good draft. No question about it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Drop a comment below. Let me know who you think of those guys on the defense who we need to re-sign. Let me know what you guys think about in general. Who you guys think are the main people that may have been able to do things that could have come out with a W in that game at the end of the day. I will say, though, Josh Allen, he played a great game. Honestly, you can't put anything on him. Guy had 3 touchdowns, 250 yards combined with his rushing. And let's be honest, he left 200 yards on the field, with receivers dropping passes. I mean, Stefon Diggs was not the only guy to drop a long pass in that game. Sherfield had 2 of them, I saw. James Cook would have been receiving touchdown on a pass that he dropped. So it's not just Stefon Diggs who was dropping passes. You look at Kansas City, and they had their issues with receivers dropping passes this year too. But when it mattered in the playoffs, they delivered, and they didn't do that. So that's the difference between us and the Chiefs right now. And I'm not going to be a delusional, Bills fan right now, guys. I'm going to be completely honest. The Kansas City Chiefs own us in the playoffs right now. We're 0-3 with them in the playoffs. But we own them in the regular season. We beat them the last 3 times in the regular season. They beat us the last 3 times in the playoffs. What's more valuable? Obviously the playoffs. They beat us when it matters. Kansas City basically owns us the way that we own the Miami Dolphins. And that sucks. Because this was the weakest that the Kansas City Chiefs have been in a while. So this was the year to beat them. They had some cracks in the armor this year. At the end of the day, they pulled it together. All of a sudden Travis Kelce starts playing like a stud. Scored 2 touchdowns against us. But also, he was being covered by A.J. Klein, who we got off the couch. So, injuries did play its toll on us. We didn't have Bernard out there. Obviously, we lost Matt Milano earlier in the season, so that is one thing to look forward to. I am excited to see when Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard are on the field at the same time. That's going to be a really good duo right there. Also, let me know who you guys think is going to win the Super Bowl. Drop a comment below. Curious in your thoughts, but I hate to say it, but I think Kansas City's got this. That's who I'm going to put my money on, honestly. But yeah, it is what it is, guys. We seem like we're in this rut where 3 years in a row we're getting knocked down in the divisional round, and we're always 2 games away from the Super Bowl. And there's a lot of teams that are in a lot worse shape than that. There's a lot of teams that don't even sniff a divisional round playoff game. You got to look at the positive. We are very close. We're this close to being a team that goes to the Super Bowl. And there's just a few adjustments we got to make in the offseason. We got to hit in the draft. But, I still have faith in us. As long as we have Josh Allen as our quarterback, guys, we're always going to be contenders. We got that going for us. We got Josh Allen. Let's be honest. We have the second best quarterback in the league. So the door will be open for us as long as Josh Allen's on our team. So I'm not going to believe the narrative that the Bills Super Bowl window's closed, because that's not true. As long as we have Josh Allen, the window's open, and that's all there is to that. Yeah, I want to thank you guys for rocking with me this season. For those of you who have been here since episode 1, again, appreciate you. So I'll see you guys next season, and as always, go Bills.